I'm joined by Surya, and we're going to be streaming the finals of the team tournament of Robbers of Catan.
Hey everyone, how you doing? We got an exciting matchup. We've got the Settlers of Katwang coming in at the second seed, and Settlers of Your Mom coming in at eighth seed. So, we had an upset, and also the favorite. So we'll see who can win.
So, just for clarification here, which players are on the same team?
So we got Ribs green and not Abby orange. There are Settlers of Your Mom, and the Katwang team is um, blue and black. Yeah,
Okay, perfect.
so who went first? Was it blue?
Blue went first, and I believe
Orange was second.
orange was second. Yes.
Okay, so then green was third. So blue decided to take the road like strong ore and 5 and a 9, which is good for building roads. So I totally understand that.
I don't think you could ever
Pretty
go wrong
good
with
first
5,
placement.
9, 10.
Exactly, those are good numbers. They roll a lot. Not in my games, but usually they should roll a lot. So when we see orange, Abby going with the 8-4-10, I certainly can understand that as well. Another strong road spot with also on the 10 ore. Then we have green. So I believe back to back for team your mom, taking the best sheep wheat spot on the board. Where do you think black will go?
So it looks like black also needs sheep and wheat to complete the team's 5 resources, right? Right now,
Mm-hmm.
Settlers of Katwan is orange and green, right?
E, um,
I'm
Orange
sorry.
and green is your mom. Well,
Okay,
let's just call them
let's just call
orange
them
and
your
green is your
mom.
mom,
Your
and
mom and
black and blue is Wong,
okay,
because I
so
think everyone on the team's last name is Wan or Wong.
that's beautiful. So it looks to me like Team Your Mom has all of their resources already and on different numbers, which means that every turn they're going to be producing something almost. If
That's
they can
right. Hmm.
if they can secure different number. I mean, obviously 3 and 8 are shared, or sorry, 10 and 8 are shared, but they're at a much better place than Team Cat Wong
Right.
because there's nowhere else that provides that much wheat and sheep.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, honestly, if worst comes to worst, um, team like Black could honestly place with her first or second settlement on the 5-10-3-1 port because it's double strong wheat and instant port. It might be worth, and Black does place back to back, so maybe they do that.
I think that's why they're taking so long. They actually only have 20 seconds left to decide where the settlement is going. I'm sure there's some kind of team communication going on
There
there,
you go.
and you've called it perfectly. Yeah. So
Five
where
ten.
is Black's other settlement going? Do you think?
So our team got eliminated in the semis by this team by the Wong team, Black and Blue, and they're a good team. But our team kind of switched up our strategy midway, so we kind of started prioritizing the self-sufficient strat, meaning instead of like one player gets like locks up the strong ore and the other player on the team locks the strong wheat,
Mm-hmm.
so you can collectively be better. We ended up losing a lot of games from that. So we kind of switched it up to self-sufficient, like as if you're just playing a normal four-player game and you just happen to be working with someone. So try to be sufficient to like win the game on your own. So if I were to um, think through how Black is thinking, Black locked up strong wheat, which I totally understand with the port. I would probably take the 693. Black doesn't have good brick and wood, but they do get that from their partner, which is blue. So I would take the 693 because if they leave that for green to take next, that would suck for Black's team. So I think that's the call.
Yeah, I think I would actually agree there. You kind of have to play more as allies than teammates in this team format
Exactly.
because every time you trade something, you have to get at least one card in return. And there's definitely occasions in which that one card would ruin, the person you're trading with,
Hmm.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, and another thing to kind of follow up on that I lost a game in a team tourney, like my team lost,
Hmm.
is I tried to lock up like two strong resources, that sort of thing off the bat, and I didn't realize until after I was basically on three numbers, like an 8, 5, and a 10, which are good or it's like an 8, 3, and 10.
Mhm.
Good numbers, but you're really rags to riches on when you do that. So, and our numbers didn't end up rolling enough, and we ended up losing. So I like how the teams so far have not done that. They've spread themselves out in terms of the numbers.
Well, so both teams do share two of the same numbers.
Or I mean like individual players, right? Like so the
Yes.
same player won't double up on numbers. So I mean we haven't seen second placements yet, but I suspect no player is going to have the same like three start off with three numbers or anything like they're
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
So it looks like you've called it correctly, and Black has placed the second one on 693. The road placement here is really important, I believe, because deciding to go up or down could. I don't think there's
Hmm.
anything promising to the left with that desert tile there, and unless they're going for longest road, which they are.
Interesting. I would have honestly. Oh, you know what? That makes sense. I was gonna say point down for the 3-1 port, but they already have one. So yeah, never
Oh,
mind. And the wood port is really kind of useless for black, right? Um,
yes.
I mean, unless her black's partner, which is blue, takes the 6 or 4 wood, already being on the 5. I mean, there's a lot of good wood numbers. So maybe they can go there later, but it's not a priority, I say.
So we have green going next. Probably looking for
Where do you
wood
think green
here.
goes?
It's difficult because they need what four? They need three different resources, and is there anywhere they can get wood, ore, and brick reliably at this point?
Wood or brick? No, but honestly, I could see green taking the 9-4-11. Prioritizing wheat, or I'm sorry, ore and sheep. And you get a pretty neat, pretty sweet brick
Yeah, there's
with it.
definitely
And
a surplus of wood on this board.
right, because if orange takes the 9-4-11, he can lead because his partner goes next, right? Or sorry,
Hmm.
green. If green takes 9-4-11, orange goes after. So green can lock up, or I'm sorry, orange can lock up like the 6-5-11 or the 6-4-11, right?
So
Two strong wood blocks.
this is a board where I think you definitely want center control because
Hmm.
in
Okay.
addition to claiming the resources, you're also blocking off the opposing side from accessing, the central that 6-5-11 I feel like is a pretty powerful spot to be on.
You know what? Yeah, you're right. You definitely don't want to leave a good middle spot open. That's a good point.
And I think it'll
So
be
where would
interesting
you go
as
if
well
you
to
were
see
green?
how the ports play out as well.
I'm with you. Yeah.
The teams are definitely taking their time here.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't blame them. This is game one, right? So winner of this game one could certainly be the winner of the series, unless we get a reverse comeback. So
Of course.
it's important. Where would you go if you were green?
So the last thing that we haven't talked about is wherever green places. Okay, there we have it. So those starting resources decide a lot of things now, right? Green starts off immediately with a road and a sheep, which
Interesting. So I was thinking the reason why once I saw green place it there, and I thought they'd point left so that they could start with a free road
mm,
and then angle upwards towards the 911.
I think that's a wonderful strategy. And like I said, they're taking that middle control.
Right. That's assuming that blue doesn't place it on the 911 and just kind of destroy that whole plan. But I don't know if blue would do that because blue also has the 10 ore.
Well,
So maybe they're banking on that. So that's a pretty smart idea.
that would block blue from wheat, but at the same time that would be the only
Hmm.
resource they're missing, with their teammate black being right there on arguably the
Two
best
of the
wheat spot on
strong
the board.
weeks. Yep. All right, look at that. So we see, as expected, orange taking two strong wood spots. Now that green has probably the second best brick on the board, hopefully, if that 4 ends up rolling, they can do some damage.
And what's interesting here is that the 4 is the second place for brick, and it can't be built on anymore because of that 963. So the only
Right.
way anyone's going to reliably get any more brick this game is if they settle on the 9 tile all the way on the right side of the board. And that's going to be pretty
Hmm.
difficult to do for anyone except for blue. If they're able to effectively block off that tile, they essentially have a large control of the entire brick
Here's the
fluctuation
thing.
if they can knight that 4.
What's funny is I think if I'm blue, honestly, I might place it on the 911, which kind of cuts green. Now that I think about it, because blue has a strong ore and brickwood, and they get pretty much all the wheat from their partner. And there's
Exactly.
no other good wheat spots unless they want the 6-3-11. But why more wood in your hand when you can have more ore, which is probably better late game? Honestly, I would just cut green and just place 911 point up.
Yeah, because you know green is building, and the other
If green
prospects
gets there,
is
that's really good for them.
the only other thing that green would benefit from directly right now is building one road upwards on that 8 for the sheep port.
Wow. Never
Interesting
mind.
choice. Going for the wood port. So now blue lacks just wheat. Starting the game off with a
Interesting.
10. So I think it's interesting because this is a very wood heavy board. But if there's more roles like this, we might start seeing some cities early on, which I think in a team tournament are exponentially powerful because of, like I said, the ability to trade, the necessity to trade a single card to get anything in return is a very
Hmm.
important factor here.
Yeah, questionable first placement. I mean, maybe it pans out for them. Like you said, there are a lot of strong. Pretty much every wood tile is pretty good. Even the 4 wood is pretty good too. And blue is on 2 of them, but it's just a dice game, right? Like if the 6s and 4s just hit more than the 8s and 5s, that wood port really doesn't come into play that much, and it's unfortunate. So maybe they'll get some luck there, but interesting call to go on the 8-3.
So yes, blue does have access to 3-8, 5-9, 10. Their teammate has 5-10, 6-3-9. Yeah, I think we could. If I had to guess which team was ahead right now, I would say blue and
I
black.
think your mom's team has a shot, but I think blue or black has pretty good spots from the start. Yeah.
I was almost offended for half a second there.
No, no, no. Yeah, I think. See, the thing is, if I might be willing to flip my mind and say if that your mom's team is on top, if they can get to the 9-11 spot really quickly.
Hmm.
But I think blue black is leading right now.
Okay, we have an 8. What I'm curious is where is the robber going? Because these teams seem pretty
Hmm.
intertwined.
Um, at least when I like to play Catan, I typically try to stop my competitor with the robber.
Hmm.
And I mean, it's different with the team tourney because you're competing against 2 people instead of 3.
Hmm.
So I might try to block wood brick early game to stop people from moving and expanding, or wheat. If it's like a only one good resource of wheat or something, 'cause
Yeah,
that's involved everywhere. And 7 was rolled literally right after you asked the question. So
and it's
on the 9 brick, yeah, as I probably thought, because there's so many good wood spots. There's no really no point in blocking it.
yes. If they could dry out brick and keep switching that robber between the 9 and the 4, I think that this could potentially be a very long game to start out.
Yeah, and that's another lesson, right? You should try and block the complementary resource when you have the chance, because in this case, every wood tile is pretty strong. So what's the point of blocking it?
Hmm.
You should block a brick, right? Because without the brick, you can't really do anything with your wood.
Of course, brick is hard to get. It needs to be paired with wood, and there's also no one on a brick port.
Also true. And yeah, there we go. As expected, green makes that road placement to the 911. So their gamble did pay off. I was saying if I was blue, I might have placed it on the 911. But hopefully the wood port strategy works for them. But green looks like they're gonna get to that spot.
It looks like green and black might be battling for longest road. It's definitely too early to say because
Hmm.
that's something that can get stolen over and over again, as I'm sure we've both seen many times.
That is true. The thing is, black doesn't get any brick or wood naturally. They're gonna have to get it through their teammate. So battling for road might be a little hard for them. I mean, it's still possible
Yeah, I think we're
because their
going to
teammate
see
can give it to them.
heavy
But we'll
reliance
see.
on trading.
We're gonna have to, yeah, because black blue just doesn't have the best in terms of expansion spots. Also, just from the way their roads are placed.
Mm.
So they're gonna have to start caching a lot of roads from rolls if they want to battle like longest road themselves. So I definitely agree. Black is the better road player.
That four is a great idea there.
Stops both green and orange.
Has not decided who to steal from yet. I think
Probably trying to track cards, see
does
who got a
yeah
resource that they want.
does green have the materials for a settlement right now? I definitely don't think so. They do have 5 cards, but
Maybe. I wasn't really paying attention to what they had, but it's possible, right? Because they decided to steal from green. Let's see. Okay, so we got a 6 rolled. Hopefully this is one of those games where it's not like only the 6 is rolled or only the 8 is rolled majority of the time.
so are both teams on the 6?
As well as the 8.
Yes. So it really is a toss-up. Here we are seeing more wood, turn and turn again. I I feel like Blue's play to go on that wood port is better than we're giving them credit for.
Honestly, yeah. Now that the 8s are rolling, obviously it's paying off.
Here we're seeing a 4-for-1.
4-for-1 for brick. And brick kind of rare, right? It hasn't been rolling much, and now the 4 is blocked for orange, so I don't blame it because would have been hitting a lot.
So I think the consequence of brick being so rare is that we're going to see a very high development card game.
Right, especially a slower game early on too.
That's just what is going to help catapult them into that middle to late game because
Hmm.
things like road building, things like Year of Plenty are going to be essential here.
Yeah, I agree, and I know that uh, Wang team, they when we played them, they definitely bought a lot of death cards, so they're not opposed to it, and it's a strategy that they're aware of. So I can totally see that happening. What you said.
It's interesting these team games seem to go on quite a lot longer. All we've seen built so far. Oh, there it is. So all we've seen built
That's
at this point is a
mhm.
road and a settlement.
So that's the settlement I was talking about. See, now it's really hard to compete with green in terms of dev cards now that they have. I mean, unless if the nines just don't roll at all, there's nothing you can do about it.
Mhm.
Believe me, that happened to our team last game. Like not a single time. But yeah, if those nines start hitting, I think the nines might be more important than a wood port. At least that's my opinion. But obviously, I could be wrong if nines just don't hit and the wood does. So
So you're valuing ore above the.
I would personally value ore above porting wood, but it really just depends on what rolls. Like I could be easily right or wrong here. I don't know.
I feel like every player has wood in their hand.
I know, yeah. Actually, yeah, you're right. Everyone but black has a strong wood tile.
And I wonder how that's going to pan out later on.
Agreed, agreed.
So does anyone have access to all 5 resources? I don't think so.
Nope.
Now green
Actually,
does.
or green does, yeah. Green does now.
Making green the strongest independent player, which, like you said earlier, is very important in this team format, especially when your teammate can't provide for you.
exactly, yeah, and then also one thing to think about is like which player should be ending the game
Mhm.
ideally. So
So that's
it looks like green, right? Because death card set up.
yes,
At the moment, it's easier to catapult yourself into a lead.
very interesting there seeing Tin's 3-for-1 sheep for wheat when they're on the 10 and the 5. I would argue that wheat is their strongest resource.
Was it wheat or wood? I thought I saw wood. Maybe it was sheep.
So
Yeah, because they
they
get sheep. Yeah,
traded
they
three
get
sheep
sheep.
for a wheat, and then an ore for 4 wood to blue, who has the wood port.
That's right. Yeah,
So
that is true.
we're seeing black, I think, go for a city early on. I think what they're trying to do is, make good use of that wheat position they have right there and just establish a city early on.
That is crucial, um, especially for black, who has the best wheat settlements.
Mm.
Sorry, I couldn't
Wheat is
figure out
very
the
hard to
word.
come by this game. In addition to brick,
It
this is
is.
a rough board.
It is a rough board, and especially because numbers like the numbers you want are just not hitting.
Mm.
So if black can get a city down on that 5 or 10 wheat, whenever it does hit, is instant city pretty much. Like they'll have all the wheat they need, so that's pretty big for them. Oh, and I may have spoke too early. Blue is the one who decided to city on the 5, 9, 10.
So I wonder why that is. I guess they're putting all of their eggs in blue's basket. It is
Yeah, right.
it is
I guess blue might be the player to quote unquote end the game, right? I guess
I think it more directly benefits the team for them to have a city on the player who has access to a 2-for-1 port rather than a 3-for-1.
that is true. Right, that's true. Yeah, the more woods come in, right? He can port it.
And the thing is, you can't completely block the flow of wood from blue because he has two very strong numbers with the 5 and the 8.
Good call. Exactly. So yeah, actually, that was a pretty good placement right there. Let's hope for them that those numbers hit and they'll start to snowball. Right now, I definitely think the Wong team has control of the game with that city place down, but I don't think your mom's team is is far behind.
Yeah, it's 5-5 right now. The Wands have not yet built a road, which uh, it cuts them off from any short-term victory points, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, this might be unfortunately nines are just not rolling. At least not yet. I really hope it doesn't turn out where the nine will roll like twice all game or something, because it's one of the strong ore spots. Even the tens, I don't think have really rolled at all.
No, and I think that's why we saw black 3-for-1ing that sheep for a wheat because getting that getting that wheat on the 10 just wasn't happening.
Hmm. Okay, so we see blue giving away a near settlement to black, and black now just got a wheat. So they can't settle yet because they need an extra road, but they are pretty close with blue getting 2 woods. So maybe they get a brick soon, and who knows? If a 9 hits, that's all it takes. This might be a dev card. Okay. Yep.
Yep, we're seeing a lot of trading here, and it's hard to cover it all.
It's like you said, right? The Your mom's team, they're probably gonna have to dev card if they want to keep up, and it's exactly what you predicted. You see them 4-for-1 dev card.
And I think that's interesting because you essentially double the amount of cards that you can hold without discarding by having it in a team format like this. Half of the turns your team is able to trade, right? So if you're
Hmm.
close to
Might as well hold.
you discard at 7 here, right?
Um. Yeah.
So
Oh
I
no, it's at 6. It's at 6.
so it's if you have 6 cards, you discard 3 of them on a 7 roll.
Yes. So it's probably worth holding,
Yeah,
honestly.
each member can hold 5 pretty safely.
I
I think
agree.
I
Yeah.
think buying that development card there was a good choice because the value they
They
get
need to
out of it
catch
is
up.
is
Hmm.
pretty high, and largest army is also pretty impactful.
Exactly, right. And if you look at um, the other team's setup, they with blue are just poised to buy def cards, blue and black together.
Hmm.
So keeping one of the worst things in the game is when no one really has knights and a seven doesn't roll and a robber just kind of sits like it is on the four for pretty much like the whole game or half the game. That's just one of the worst feelings. So honestly, buying a def card early, getting a knight to move it is I can defend that
So that robber being there is actually the best thing for the
for
cat
Wong's
mon.
team.
Yes,
Yep.
because now they're the only ones with access to bricks, and
Yep.
they are also the
And
the team that hasn't built any roads yet. But um,
yeah, and I don't know if a four has rolled yet, so I don't know if your mom's team has necessarily been punished for not moving it just yet, but it's probably gonna happen soon. And if they can't move it, that will suck.
yeah, so them buying that def card I think holds a double benefit, right? They're most likely to get a knight, which if the other team manages to move the robber, they can immediately put it back there, shutting them down and stealing from them, very very much effectively shoving their face in the dirt, right? But also by buying a dev card, I think they're each effectively a third of a victory point, if you do the math.
Hmm.
I've heard that from someone.
There's 5 victory points, and I think there's 19 total def cards.
Hmm.
So if I was gonna say if I'm your mom's team and I have a knight, I would probably put it on the 5 wood. Like I know it does stop. Honestly, I'm a fan of blocking yourself in certain
You think
situations,
so?
right? Yeah, because if you're thinking wood, it helps Wong's team a lot more because of the city. But they
Yes.
still cash wood with the 8 and the 6. So and the five's been rolling too. So I think it's better to stop the 5.
I think that's really the problem here. Like I mentioned, you cannot stop Juan from producing wood here.
Oh yeah, exactly. You can't stop them entirely, but you can stop like you can create a more likable ratio for yourself.
Mm. An interesting trade there. So Tins is essentially a development card machine right now. They
Hmm.
that is all they're able to produce in addition to cities on their own.
It looks like it, and we see blue road settling instantly to get onto the wheat port, which is kind of massive if the fives and tens roll, which the fives have been so far. So right now, um, Wong's team is definitely taking a commanding lead,
Of
kind of
course,
undeniable at this point,
and they've been playing much more like a team, in my opinion. Lots
and
of
a def
trading,
card.
lots of very clever, management of resources between the two of them.
I agree. I agree. And that Woodport is paying off. So right now, what I said earlier is so far wrong. That Woodport is cashing.
Yeah, I mean the
Big turn
nines.
right
If the
now.
nines were rolling, it would not be as effective. But
Hmm. Yeah, it's like I said, it just depends if the ores roll or the woods roll. And right now the woods have been hitting. No nines, I think.
another
Another
five.
5. There you go. Yeah. It's just production is just out competing your mom's team. And they're just getting killed right now from that. It's unfortunate.
So do you see Tins building more settlements, or are they just going to completely go all out,
Double City.
double
Is that
city,
what you're thinking?
or feed resources
Hmm.
into their teammate?
I think they should double city because right now fives are, or at least first city the 510, um, because the fives are hitting and also Wheatport now on blue.
Hmm.
So that's what I would do if I was Tins. I don't know how close they are yet because I don't think a 9 or a 10 has rolled. I may be wrong, but I
Yeah.
don't think either has rolled yet all game.
So green has just used a knight. Um, if they put it on
Okay,
the
so
nine,
maybe now they block the 10. I don't know, or the 5. I would block the 5
you
personally.
you said that you would block the five. I think that is a very smart play. But at the same
Would you
time,
block the 5 wheat or the 5 wood
the five
if you
would,
were to block one?
because there's a
I
city on
agree.
it.
Yeah, and yeah, that's true.
Even though it's
There we
self-sacrifice,
go.
this is a team tournament, and orange does have very good wood numbers as well. The four, the six, the eight.
Exactly. Yeah. The team your mom they get wood from most other places, So it just helps them a lot more right now.
Mhm.
We'll see if those 5 start rolling now, so that the block was useful.
Yeah, and I
That's the
wonder.
worst feeling when you do something like that, like a block, and then it just doesn't really pan out because it just doesn't roll anymore.
Yeah, and the 4 might even it still might not roll as well.
True.
What we could see here is blue is currently holding a development card. It could be a knight, which would make this a pretty depressing situation.
Absolutely, they could just move it right back off.
I find that a knight moving back and forth in games, not even like in a team format, it that's usually how the player in the lead towards the middle of the game loses the game itself, because everyone kind of targets
What do you
them.
mean by that? Oh, by getting targeted. Yeah, that's true. Maybe it's different in teams sometimes because you have a teammate,
Hmm.
but also, I mean, you're technically right if the other team just can't outcompete for dev cards. So yeah,
I
we'll
think that
see.
that does make Team Catwan's strategy pretty strong here, because they essentially have that development card factory in tins.
Yeah,
Can't sleep on
exactly. I
the
mean, the way
support
I see
player.
it, Tins doesn't really have to do anything for the rest of the game except probably City and feed Blue.
Hmm.
I mean, the way it looks like Blue can probably even connect. Like if more of their resources, more of the wood hits with the wood port, they could just port for a brick and just connect.
Totally, and the team your mom does have pretty much control of the top half of the board, but those numbers aren't hitting very
Not
well,
hitting.
right? 3, 11, 12, they're not super important here.
I agree. We see green pointing to that sheep port, which honestly, I kind of like that move, because eights do kind of hit. Fives have been hitting a lot more recently, but whenever an eight hits, they get a lot of sheep, and that is good for them.
Green is all about sheep with 2 on the 11. I mean, 11 is another uncommon number, but getting a free resource of your choice, at, on any number is pretty helpful.
Right. We see a 3 is rolled, which does give a wheat and I don't think three, like you were saying, threes have not rolled much before, but we do see it now.
Now, there hasn't been a 7 in a little bit. The last time the robber moved, I think we saw a knight played.
11, look at that. So that is massive for Team Your Mom. A rare ore, which it seems like it's rare this game, and 2 sheep. That is pretty good for them. Unfortunately, they do have a wheat actually, so they could dev card on their turn.
They could, and that would be pretty massive. So I wonder what the strategy is here for orange. Right, not much room for development on the bottom of the board at all, really. They can only settle uh, 1 down from that wheat port, which is just on an 8 wood. On the top of the
Yeah,
board, they
exactly.
have a lot more opportunity, but it's not really very lucrative. I mean,
I would just 3-1 port, honestly.
I would
That's
3-1 port and then maybe build 2 more roads down to that 9, but I feel like by the time you've made your intentions clear there, you're going to get blocked.
Yeah, I think what Orange has to do as a team player, other than just bringing in resources when they get it, is get to the 3-1 port and just start building roads to try and take longest road quickly. Because it looks like Blue can connect with 3 roads, which with that wood port, it's seemingly happening. Like they can do it. So, and whenever a 9 rolls, instant 2 roads right there, pretty much. So, I think Orange needs to try and take road early as soon as possible.
Yeah, in a 4-player team format of this game, I feel like uh, the problem of overcrowding would be much more common than it is in this game.
And look at that, a 10 rolled
That's
and
3 ore.
instant payoff, 3 ore and a wheat on 10s. So that's basically a city for their team. I don't know if they have the last week, but I'm sure they might honestly have it. If they don't, they'll probably get it with the 5. So or the Woodport. So they can probably city Tins or Ice Slenderman on their next turn.
Looks like we have some trading going on here for a dev card. I
Orange
think
buying a dev card. I think that's a good play. And an 11, which is good for them. So that is helpful. Rolls are coming in.
so. Maybe they're trying to protect the location of that robber, or just get cards to help them develop.
Yeah, I agree. And it's like we said, right? That's the way that they win this game, right? Their rolls are hitting and take road or get to the port, take road. So I think their team is doing all that they can right now. But is it enough?
I don't know. A lot of the good spots have already been eaten up.
Yeah, that was a good point. Oh, we see Green buying a def card as well. So, and he has one knight played, which is currently tied for army. So maybe he gets a knight. That's pretty massive for them, honestly, if they can keep
So
the knight on the other team.
we've seen 7 dev cards played and 3 roads built this game.
7 dev cards played or
Or
bought.
seven purchased, my bad, and 3
Okay,
roads built, which is astounding because of the sheer different amount of resources being put towards development.
that's true, and it's like you predicted. It's a dev card game, and we see Tins buying a city and predictably going on that 5-10 wheat, which I think is the right call here.
That's
So
amazing for their
because
team. The Tins
oh
is
yeah,
just going to be funneling
every time
pretty
a
good.
10 rolls, that is an instant city for their team, as well as wheat port on blue,
Oh
which
my
is
goodness.
massive. So it's just the numbers. If the numbers are favorable, anything can happen.
So nobody's on the 2, nobody's on the 12 either quite yet. I think we're definitely going to see Abby go for that 3-1
Probably
port.
settle soon.
Probably settle soon. Interesting that they've prioritized a dev card there. Usually when I'm close to settling, and I have the materials for a development card, I feel like in a team tournament I would just trade away the ore and hope for the rest of the materials. Then again, we do see a lot of development cards that could easily be knights,
hmm
right? You don't
Yeah,
want your resources being stolen.
that is true. That is true. Wow, look at that.
Monopoly,
So
very
blue
interesting.
uses a monopoly, takes wood, only
That's
gets 5 of them, but maybe that's enough. That's 2 free cards.
so. Do you think blue's carrying victory points or knights?
I'm sure blue probably has at least 1 VP. I think if they have a knight, I would have thought they would use that knight already, but maybe they value the monopoly more important. Personally, I like to try and use a monopoly when I like feed the monopoly, so to speak, right? So when you see a lot of that resource you want to monopoly has been rolled on the board. I mean, 5 is not bad, but he could have gotten a bigger haul, right? With so many strong wood spots on the board, 8, 5, 6, 4.
I
I
often,
personally might have waited, but maybe he needs it right now to do something. So
yeah, I often struggle myself, feeling like I have to wait until the very end of the game to use my monopolies to maximize the efficiency. But I think this is a decent time to use it. If there was no wood port for blue, I think that would have been a much worse play.
oh, agreed. Yeah, I
But
definitely think because of the wood port, he could have waited. But if he needs it right now for something, then it's a good move. So
yeah,
let's see what. I hope he doesn't just hold on 7. That would make no sense, right?
because of the decreased maximum hand size, you really need to start trading them in at this point.
Right. There's no reason to monopoly wood right now. Only getting 5 and not and hold. So we can see that he trades him away to his teammate, maybe so his teammate can hold but he still has 5 cards though.
So it's not the worst thing to sit on 5 cards, but I'm curious what is going on here with these trades.
I am as well. It would be nice if we could hear what they're talking about, but obviously we can't do that.
or even see their hands, but then
Also
I guess
true.
they could just tune in to the stream.
Exactly. But okay, so we see Icelanderman getting a wood back with a teammate and
Wow.
dev card. Okay, so as expected, using that wood port and trading those woods in dev card. 3 dev cards on blue right now, which is very strong. That's how you lose games. When a strong player just buys a lot of dev cards. We see Abby using a knight, probably on the 10 ore, I would expect.
Yeah, I think the utility and the fact that you clear out your hand by buying them, it just makes development cards such a strong buy here.
I agree. Agreed. Okay, on the 9 brick. I don't know if I agree with that, and they do instantly get punished with the 10 rolling. That is a free city for Team Wong. I
Oh.
don't know how much I like that 9 brick block. We do see them get instantly punished, but typically I'd want to block at this point. It's probably mid game at least, if not late game,
Hmm.
maybe mid game at least. So I would try to block wheat or ore so that he doesn't buy more dev cards, much less a city.
Hmm.
I think
Agreed.
this has to
And
go on the 10.
I think the problem is that most players just have an issue with the self-sacrifice,
I
putting a Raven on
agree.
their own numbers.
It really sucks because Orange is on that 110, which I do understand the hesitation there, but it's like you said, it just might be one of those things you just have to do at this point because of how strong they are.
Interesting
Okay,
choice
so we
there.
see it
Still not
going
to
on
go
the
to the 10.
5. Still not going to the 10. I mean, the 5 has been rolling,
I see rolling
which
a
is true.
7 and then playing a knight.
Okay, playing a knight. I just don't think it's wise to keep it off of a 10, considering their team gets an insta city when that happens, and they're punished from that. So
Oh, of course.
we'll see what happens. We'll see. They probably have an
Back to the
idea.
5.
Up to 5.
Interesting choice.
The 5 does roll, and I do see their logic here. When a 5 rolls, he gets a free card from his wood port. But still, a 10, whenever a 10 rolls, basically insta dev card or insta city. And I think that's a little more important than the wood port at this point in
And
the game.
you can only block one of the 10s. They're either going to get 3 or 2 wheat every time. Either,
Right. You might as well block one of them.
of course, and either of which is extremely powerful as you transition into the late game here.
Oh yeah. And now that the tens are, maybe they start hitting. They don't want that to happen. So we'll see. We'll see if that 5 block was smart.
So interesting here. We've seen Green play 2 knights so far. Soon they'll have largest army. If that third Tev card that they have is in fact a knight. I think this is a game where we see it stolen. It might be
Maybe.
it
Yeah.
might be too early to call that, but
Blue definitely has the potential to steal it back. So I can't say I disagree with you there.
I would love to be looking over Blue's shoulder right now.
See what they have. I'm sure they have at least one victory point. Um, what's dangerous is if they have at least one VP plus 2 knights.
Mm.
So they have army at that point, right? Which means they're on 7 points, and they just keep buying def cards. Maybe connect the roads. So 1 knight is used. Okay.
So now we see them tied for 2 knights each. Interesting that Blue chose to knight before rolling the dice.
Um, I think it's because they want to get if a 5 rolls, cash
Mm.
on the wood. So I honestly, yeah, I'm kind of I agree with that decision.
I feel like that's something that I don't usually do when I'm playing in person, but I'm glad it's a possibility here in the online version of this game.
Yeah. Typically, the rule is, if you have a knight to play and you intend to play it on the next turn or something, and if it's blocking one of your resources, especially
Mhm.
if it's like a valuable one, and wood, still kind of is with that wood port. Typically, just play it before you roll because if that 5 rolls, you lose out on wood for your turn.
Yeah.
So we see he moves it. He still doesn't know who to steal from. Both players on the other team are on 5 cards,
And
so he's
what
still
putting
pretty
it there
ahead.
does, I mean, I think that Team One has a much easier time deciding where to put that knight because as soon as it's there, all of the brick is shut off from them, from
And
Team Your Mom.
instantly, like we see a 4 is rolled, which really just sucks for Team Your Mom. Um, just because bricks they just don't get them that much, and blue just put it on that 4 brick, and look at that, a 4 was rolled,
They
and they don't
really
get
need
it.
them for those settlements, and they don't have any ports right now.
No, and a city. Look at that. And I mean, it's like it's from that 10 before that city, and look at that, 5 is cleared up, 2 woods
Yep, such a
into the
strong
place.
number. So I think what we're seeing here is if anyone's listening, and you're in a team tournament, it's very important to go for ports early on because even
Oh
if you
yeah.
can't provide the things you need for that 2-for-1, with your teammate, you're very likely to have everything required.
Yep. And I mean, from that early prediction I made at the start of the game about going with the wood port versus that 9 ore spot, they're clearly proving to be right, and I was wrong. So it's working out for Team Wong.
We see another 7 going right back on that 5. Interesting how they're willing to block off the wood but not the ore. When I guess their argument is probably that wood is more abundant, and ore for Team Your Mom is also only on the 11, but they get it on the 9 too. Actually, I
That
think
yeah. So the thing is, I just don't like even though it really sucks to block a seemingly rare resource for yourself with that 10, which hasn't often been rolling. It's just the trade-off is their team gets 3 ore from that. I mean, it's a city,
yes,
but also 3 ore for dev cards, which he's been buying a lot of dev cards already. So I just don't know how much I like that call not blocking the 10 ore.
I'd like to see a road building.
I hope so. Maybe we can see what that dev card is, unless it's a victory point. I assume if it was a knight, he would play it already to take army. So is that a settlement? I don't think so. Or maybe it is. He's giving away a sheep, unless
He
maybe
gave
he has
away a
another one.
sheep and a brick, and is trying to give away another sheep.
So he's on 8 cards right now. So he's 4 for wanting to probably settle. I think that's a settlement. Which does suck that he had to 4 for 1 the sheep, because you can actually use the settlement that you settle on the same turn.
With the port.
So with the port, yeah. I don't know if you knew that or if anyone else knew that, but
Mm-hmm.
you are able to do that, which is really really good and really cool. But he gave away 4 sheeps, which is potentially 2 cards if he had 4 for 1 something else.
Yeah. So now we've seen green builds 2 roads, 2 settlements, making a stand on the board. Orange not so strong. They're it,
They've
they're
only
almost
built a road
playing
all game.
like allies instead of teammates. Obviously, we just saw a big, circle of trading there, but in this
Right.
scenario, it paid off really well for Team One to have one player completely dedicated to the development card game and one completely dedicated to building.
Yeah, exactly. Even if you look at Black's placement, even though Black really hasn't done anything all game except for that city, um, obviously city's better than a road if you look at Orange.
Hmm.
Black still, the numbers are hitting and those resources are just better for the team overall. Okay, and we see Blue taking Army, which kind of expected with the number of death cards he had, but
Hmm.
he does
And
take Army, which is good.
you
Good for
definitely
their
want to do
team.
that now while you're contending with someone who also has 2 nights played because now they have to play 4 instead of 3 to beat you.
Exactly. That is a good point. Wow, look at that. Wheatport coming instantly useful. Maybe this is for game. Connect his roads. That's a VP, right? So for game. Oh, okay. He couldn't connect yet, but I think he'll get it on his next
I
turn.
think we'll see game very soon here, and this has actually been
That's a
very quick for a
city.
team game.
Oh yeah. I mean, look, that's a city right now. If I was their team and if taking game with that longest road wins, I think they city black just for the extra point on the whole overall standings,
Mhm.
and then 4-for-1 something else or port something else for that last road.
I think I'd have to agree with you. So those victory points are only for tiebreakers, though, right?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, I think that's right.
Mhm.
And we do, by the way, see a knight, or sorry, a 7 being played from green, which breaks that city. I mean, they still have 2 ore and 2 wheat, so they can make it happen still, but it breaks the city, which is something to be said. But if they win the game with a road, then it doesn't really matter much here. We could really see the game ending very soon.
If a 9 happens, I think we'll see the end. The
I mean,
blue being on the
the
wheat
game
port.
could end. The game could end without a 9 either. If blue connects with a road, takes longest road to win because
Blue
if he has
is
a VP in hand,
Yeah, blue has 4 cards. Do we know what they are?
2 ore at least. I don't know what the last ones are. He can get the 2 wheat from black and port that for a brick or a wood. So as long as blue has a wood or a brick in hand, which he probably does, that looks like it's a win. So I think that's a win right here.
I believe so.
I think I think he just builds a road and wins, provided he has a VP in hand, which I think he does. Looks like there's the
Here we
brick
go. 8 cards. Beautiful.
connected, and that's the game. Yep, pretty dominant game, game 1 from Team Your Mom, taking a 13-7 victory.
That is astounding. Looking at these dice stats, 5 was rolled 8 times.
Yeah, that is just crazy. Look at that.
6 was
9 was
only
rolled
rolled
one time.
twice.
6 was rolled twice.
Only
9
9.
one time, which is less than I predicted because I thought it'd roll twice, which is kind of vile. That's just not fair. But the 5s,
I would be
8
upset if I
times.
were playing this game. And that 10, which, gave them a city at the end, every time it was rolled 10 times. Or, sorry, 5 times.
Yeah, and see, here's the thing. Like every game that I've played in the team tourney, they have like the distributions have not been normal.
Mhm.
Like it's actually kind of weird. Um, I can't say any of the team tourney games that me or my team have played have had a normal distribution. And even this game that we're looking over and commentating, this is certainly not a normal distribution.
No, absolutely not.
Very, very weird. And this time it just happened to favor Team Wong. But let's see if Team Your Mom can take back game 2, and maybe they have a shot in the tournament. They can still do this. We will see what happens. But overall, good game played by Team Wong. A little bit tough for the other team. They didn't get the dice stats and the rolls they needed, but hopefully they can pull back in the next game.
Yeah, both teams played very well. There's some very clever trading that went on. I think it could still be anyone's final, but
Oh
I
yeah.
I'm excited as well to see the last game.
All
I
right. Well,
think that's
thank you
all
guys
for
for
the
watching.
stream. Yeah, thank you for watching. Any closing words?
I don't think so. I think we said most of what we had to say. Um, well played from Team Wong. We'll see if they can take the series and the championship
Yeah,
next
good
game.
game. Best of luck to everybody, and have a nice night.